There we go. Good evening, everybody. Can everybody hear me?
Yes,
All
sir.
right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Well, a little technical difficulty. First of all, good evening. Welcome. Hope everybody's safe and well and safe and sound. We're going to begin the City Council Committee on Finance. We're going to begin this meeting Thursday, January 14, 2021. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Chairman Iglesias.
Present.
Vice Chairwoman Ryan.
Present.
Councilman Castillo. Councilwoman Castillo.
Keep rolling.
All right. Councilman Anthony is absent. Councilman Taylor.
Here.
We have 3 present and 2 absent. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Welcome, everybody. We're going to get to the city business immensely. Real quick. So first of all, I need a motion to continue item 1, 2, and 3 to the next finance meeting.
So moved.
Vice Chair, that was second by Councilman Taylor. Discussion, all in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Thank you. Next, motion to waive the readings of 4 and 5 and to continue them and to set them both up for a public hearing. The
So
motion
moved.
by Vice Chair,
Second.
second by Councilman Taylor. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next, motion to take an item out of order, motion to take item number 11 and to continue that to the next finance meeting
So moved.
Second.
by Vice Chair, second by Councilman Taylor. Discussion, all in favor? Aye. Thank
Aye.
you, Madam. Now we go back to item number 6. Before we do that, let the record reflect that President Matos is present. Councilman Espinal is present. Councilwoman Miller is present. I believe I see her. We also have Kenny Cheverini from the City Solicitor's Office. We have Doris Los Santos, Bill Kepner, Sean Bouchard, Jimmy Lombardi, our Treasurer, and Gina Costa, our Internal Auditor. With that. So let's take item number 6, Madam Clerk.
Resolution authorizing approval of the following contract extension award by the Board of Contract and Supply in accordance with Section 21-26B of the Code of Ordinances, AEC On-Site Partners, LLC.
Thank you. Who would like to talk about on this matter? Is there anybody at this time? Madam Clerk? Okay. Who do you know who you invited? Who did we invite?
We've got Peter Pelosi for Greg Jason, we're on number 6, right, Water Supply Board.
Oh, right on the bottom. Mr. Pelosi?
We've got, I think I saw Greg Jason up there, but I didn't invite him. Ricky Carullo,
And if everybody can bear with us?
and whatever other names are on that printout, Sherry.
So, yeah, but Greg, 3885, 311, 7877, and on, these are the numbers, I only have numbers, not names. So Peter Pelosi,
Well, we'll stick with Peter right now. Let the record reflect that Councilwoman Anthony is present and Councilwoman Carmen Castile is present. Thank you. So we have item number 6. I think we have Mr. Pelosi who's able to speak. Mr. Pelosi, could you explain what this item's about, please, sir? Am I unmuting him or you? Oh. You have to press unmute.
Chairman, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Now we can hear you, Mr. Pelosi.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman, members of the Finance Committee for having us this evening. I'm here tonight with our solar team, Gary Marino, Peter DiLorenzo, Joe Spumoli, our consultant, myself, and Greg Jason, executive engineer. We're here to answer any questions that you have on this item, and I will probably have Joe Spumoli or members of this solar team explain this. Joe, are you there?
Do you know what number, is it Mr. Spumoli? Do you know what number he is? Why don't you scroll down on the right, see if his name. Up. Scroll back up. I think I said, is Mr. Spumoli's phone number end with the 300?
3111, yes.
Okay. How about Does any of your folks have a Galaxy Tab S4?
That may be Joe Spumoli.
I don't know.
They're dialed in. I'm with them, so maybe they have to unmute as well.
Hang on, I have someone who has a Galaxy Tab S4. Could you please identify yourself? Okay. I don't know. Mute it. Go to the next one. The person who, may I ask a question? The person, 1 second, please. The person, 1 second, please. The person who has a phone number ending at.
Can you hear me? This is Joe Spumuli.
On what number?
Mr. Spumoli, what phone number are you?
Well, I'm at Providence Water, 521-6300.
Okay, thank you. All right, and so that's Mr. Spumoli. Do you know who has a Galaxy Tab S4?
No.
Okay. Do you know who has the phone number? Okay, right now, all we have is Mr. DiLorenzo, Mr. Pelosi, and Mr. Spumoli able to speak at this time. Is that enough individuals who can explain this matter, Mr. Pelosi?
Yes, Chairman.
Okay, well then, you have the mic, sir.
Go ahead, Joe.
Mr. Spumoli, you want to talk about this? He's right there. You gotta go up, one more down. Allow to talk. Right there. There you go. Unmute him. Mr. Spumoli, can you?
Okay, I think we're all set now. I think we got muted again. Can you hear me?
Hear you. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you again, Finance Committee, Mr. Chairman. The Board of Contract and Supply awarded this contract back in September of 2018 for $18,208,000 to build a solar system on a 30-acre site, which would make Providence Water 100% green and a savings to the ratepayer of approximately $25 million over that 25 years. As part of the original proposal, the developer had an option to extend for an additional 10 years. That's what we're here before you tonight, to ask that that extension be granted. That extension for the additional 10 years would bring an additional $16 million of savings to the ratepayer. That would make the contract for about 35 years. Basically, that's it. I mean, we built a solar system out in the town of Johnston using the net metering credit law that the state of Rhode Island put together back in 2014. We paid a developer approximately 9 cents per kilowatt hour that they produce, and then National Grid pays us approximately 17 cents per kilowatt hour. The system generates approximately 8.5 million kilowatt hours. So if you do the math, the first year that brings you somewhere around $650 million in savings. Now, the way it works is the National Grid does not pay us in money, they pay us in credits. So we're able to apply those credits to our tax bill. To our electric bill. So ultimately what happens is we get an electric bill and we apply the credits from the system. Normally, Providence Water's electrical bill is about $1.3 million a year. So we're able to pay that $1.3 million with that 9 cents per kilowatt hour. It's about almost $800,000 that we pay the developer. So we're able to get $1.3 million in electric costs for $800,000, and then all the extra credits just add up. As the electric bills go up over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, as the PUC grants additional increases to National Grid, then that 17 cents will also increase. So as you can see, when you get down 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 35 years down the road, the 9 cents stays fixed, but the 17 cents increases, and so every year we'll make a little bit more money. That's basically it. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
When did you guys enter into the original contract? What year?
Like I said, this contract was awarded in September of 2018.
And now you guys are looking to now do another option before you even 2.5 years into it? So you have for a 10-year, we have, what is it, the contract?
We awarded a 25-year contract.
Okay.
It was awarded through the board, the contract and supply, obviously, in September 17, 2018.
So that's for 25 years. So now they want to exercise another additional 10 years, so it's a 35-year contract?
If you guys grant that, correct.
And Joe, there's
Mike, I guess the question, sorry? My question is, you just begun your contract, right? So you're in the first 2.5 years, it's a 25-year contract. What's the rush to exercise that option now, like do another 10 and then get locked in for 35? Someone have to do a cost benefit analysis saying, well, if we do this, something. So, because why all of a sudden do this? Is it because of the political winds? Is it because something's going to happen? And there must be a reason why, right?
Well, first of all, for the final 10 years, from year 26 through 35, that 9 cents has been reduced to 8 cents. So they're giving us an incentive to do that. Secondly, the contract stated that they wanted to do the original bid, that they wanted to do it within the original 6 months of operation. So it's to our advantage, because once we lock them in, then there can't be any discrepancy. So basically, one other option in the contract was that after the 25 years, the contractor was to dismantle the system, take it down, and move it out. They have to provide us with a $3 million bond to guarantee that they would pack it up and move it out. So after 25 years, this system still has a lot of value and still produces a lot of electricity. It would be to their advantage to try to lock this into a longer term.
Okay.
Also,
hang on a second. Mesa, you said an awful lot. Hang on. First of all, who owns the actual real estate? Who owns the property?
The property is owned by Providence Water. The solar system is owned by the developer.
Okay. And who's the developer? Who's the solar company?
The developer is AEP On-Site Partners.
Okay. Now, as part of the contract, put aside the additional 10 years, at the end of the 25 years, who owns the equipment? Does the Providence Water Supply, or where you guys are renting? You are renting the equipment.
That's correct. We are leasing the equipment. They are responsible for all the maintenance, and they are responsible to produce the electricity. Okay.
So, what's the life expectancy of the equipment? How long will that equipment last?
So the way it works is that the system will degrade approximately 0.5% each year. So in 25 years, it will degrade approximately 13%. So you'll get about 87% of its capacity in 25 years. But again, it will still produce a lot of electricity. The standard, in talking to other solar companies, the solar standard is that they do awards for 25 years and they like to get an option for an additional 15. Most solar companies want to get a 40-year deal.
So let me ask you a question. Did you say it degraded how much, what percent per year?
0.5% per year.
So wouldn't that be greater than 18? Wouldn't that be more like, by 25 years from now, it would be more like about almost 30%?
No.
You said 1.5, you said 1.5 or half of 1%?
Half of 1%. 1/2 of 1%.
Okay, so 0.5. Okay, all right. Thank you. Okay. And so it degrades 0.5 every year. Okay. And so, right now, presently, this location produces more electricity than Providence Water utilizes, is that correct?
We won't know for sure until, understand that the contract was signed in 2018, but that's
Yeah.
when they started building the solar system. So the solar system has been operating now since August. So we won't know exactly how much power it generates until we go through a full year cycle. The contract, let me say one thing. The contract guarantees us that they have to produce 90% of that 8.5 million kilowatt hours that we asked for in the proposal.
So let me ask you this question. So the system just finally is up and running this August of 2020, is that right? It's all complete?
That's correct.
And you haven't gone through an entire year of the actual system functioning yet, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And during this time, have there been any issues with the system itself?
When solar systems initially get started, there are almost always some issues, minor issues. They have to tweak it, reset it, and we have gone through that during the month of August. We have put a roof array up on our initial building here in Providence, and again, you just have issues when you first start off. But yeah, they've all been corrected. The system is running as it's supposed to run, and remember what I said, they own the system and they have to guarantee us the electricity. So it's up to them to make sure it produces. If it doesn't produce, then they have to go out and buy that electricity for us. So we at Providence Water are not at any risk.
So do you know who is AEP On-Site Partners? Do we have who the partners is? Who the actual
Ohio? Where are they from?
Who are these from?
They're out of Ohio. They're not local. I do not know who the partners are. They're an international company.
3 other arrays in Rhode Island.
They do have 3 other solar arrays in Rhode Island, I believe.
Well, the reason why I ask is because, maybe you can help me, it has Pine Hill Solar Partners LLC in the signed documents, but then it says AEP On-Site Partners LLC in the cover sheet. So I'm just trying to reconcile that. Can you tell me why they're 2 different names?
I don't know that. I can tell you that any document that's signed is reviewed by our board counsel, Bill O'Gara, and his assistant, Ratcliffe.
Are they here to explain? I'm just wondering, because it says here, is Pine Hill Solar Partners, have they been bought out or been changed? Are they owned by somebody? Because it's a different name now.
Well, I can tell you that when we originally awarded the contract back in 2018, it was awarded to EDF, and EDF sold the system to AEP. So I don't know the difference. I don't know of any 2 different AEP companies.
I believe that's how they registered with Engrid that way, on the Pine Hill Solar Partners, because they're partners with Providence Water.
So Pine Hill Solar Partners LLC, they seem to be the Ohio entity, and then what it says here, it says EDF Renewable Distribution Solutions, then it says Pine Hill Solar Partners LLC, and now we have the AEP On-Site Partners. So somehow they got assigned to somebody, right? Is that what we're saying?
Yes, and understand that they had to register with National Grid. So I don't know exactly why there's a different name. I can tell you the EDF is no longer part of this, that it's all been sold off to AEP.
Okay.
And Chairman, I can tell you that when that did transpire, the changing of the ownership and the selling to ADP, that did go to board of contract and it was approved.
No, I understand. Right. Internal Order, you have a question? Or questions, Internal Order?
Hi, yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. Are you saying that the revenue is going to increase by 6.3 million by extending the contract?
No, I'm saying that we will have to pay the developer an additional $6 million for that additional 10 years. It'll be approximately 8 cents per kilowatt hour that they produce. And at that time, they'll probably be producing somewhere around 7.5 million kilowatt hours through the degradation of the system. So it would be approximately $6 million over the next 10 years that we have to pay the developer.
Okay, all right, thank you. I'm all set, Mr. Chair.
Is it $6 million per year or $6 million for the entire 10 years?
It would be $6 million for the entire 10 years. But again, Providence Water would profit approximately $16 million in savings to the ratepayer.
What section does it show that you said, I guess they, for some reason, within less than about 2 years or so, and not even a full year of operation, they then contacted you guys and created an incentive for the city or for you guys to extend the 10 years? Is that right? Where's that?
In the contract, it asks that they have within 6 months from the date of operation to request. I got it right here in front of me. It's page 3, section C. And they show the reduced rate of 0.08226 per kilowatt hour.
Mr. Chair, I'm so sorry. Where can we access that document?
It should be in your package. Did Madam Clerk, did you forward the packages to the committee members? Can you what does he send it to? Can you check?
I'm checking.
Make sure Councilman Anthony received it. He's on the web.
Oh, is it on the agenda?
Yeah, I think it may be an agenda as an attachment, Councilwoman.
It should be attached.
Check that, okay?
Yep.
I just called it Peter Bay. EDF sold Pioneer Solar Partners. They had owned that before, Pioneer Solar Partners, and AEP bought Pioneer Solar Partners.
Okay.
EDF set up that company, and then it sold, but it's owned by.
So do you folks know who AEP partners are? Who we're doing business with now? Or you would like to continue to do business with?
I don't know who they are personally, no.
It is owned by AEP. Pioneer Solar Partners is owned by AEP.
Well, he wants to know who AEP is.
I'll give you an example. Like, is it a conglomerate of foreign countries? Is it a group of people who, I don't know, who own X or Y? I'm just wondering, like, do we know who they are? That's all.
I can tell you based on what we've seen them come in and do. They're solar people. I mean, that's what they do. They build solar systems. I'm sure they build them all over the world. We're Googling them now. But personally, I don't know exactly who they are. I know they're an international company and they build a lot of solar systems. We did have a consultant on this project with us, Julian Dash, and he had known them and had spoke highly of them. But they are located in Columbus, Ohio. That's
Did
where
we
their
reach-
headquarters is.
Did we reach out to them, or did they reach out to us, or was this an RFP?
Yeah, no, this was an RFP where we had 8 bidders back in 2018. And, like I said, we originally awarded the contract to EDF. And that's basically how they do it, Mr. Chairman. These guys build it, and then they sell it off. I mean, there's a lot of money in these systems. And they sell it to another system, another company that maintains it, and that's not uncommon for solar systems.
The property itself is, where is the solar system located, may I ask?
It's located in Johnston, near the Situate line. I guess the 2 main intersections would be Bishop Hill Road and Pine Hill Road. It's located on Pine Hill Road.
Okay.
It's an 80-acre site that Providence Water owns, and it's surrounded in heavily wooded area. We were fortunate that in this particular, there was 30 acres on this site that was pretty much cleared, and we didn't have to cut many trees. I think we ended up cutting 60 trees on a 30-acre site, and the system sits on that 30 acres.
Okay. Councilman Anthony, were you able to obtain the document?
Thank you. Yes.
Do you have any follow-up questions?
I don't. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I certainly, it's not uncommon as is it Mr. Pelosi who is speaking, you know, for these contracts to be assigned to different companies. So I'm not surprised it's registered as a foreign entity with the, Secretary of State. I just looked it up. So, I mean, it's not uncommon for that to happen. But I don't have any questions.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions by committee members? Oh,
No, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Treasurer, you have a question? Mr. Treasurer, Madam Clerk, could you unmute the
Sorry.
treasurer?
I got it. Just 2 questions. One is there any limitation on the years in the contract? I know that something popped in my head where 25 years is the limit on an energy contract. But if they're saying that their solicitor signed off on it, I just want to confirm that, I guess.
Am I speaking? Can I speak?
Yes, please. Is it Mr.
This is Joe Sprimuli. This is Joe Sprimuli again. It's our understanding that the standard for these solar arrays is 40 years, that the original bids are usually somewhere around 25, and then they're usually asking for a 10 to 15-year extension. So the 40-year on solar arrays, from our understanding, is about accurate. Secondly, Ben Ratcliffe from us, board counsel, did review the document. He is very experienced in solar arrays. He has done several of them, and he has reviewed every single document, the contract, the extension, the name changes, has modified them to his liking, and so I can tell you that it's been reviewed by our board counsel.
Okay. And you did mention that there's a $3 million bond for the decommissioning at the end?
That's correct.
Okay. Mr. Chairman?
Thank you. Any other comments or questions at this time?
No, Mr. Chair.
No, Mr. Chair.
Do we entertain a motion, I guess, to recommend approval and forward it back to the Board of Contract Supplies?
So moved.
Second.
I share the same with Councilman Anthony.
Second.
Any final comments? Councilwoman Castillo, any final comments? Anybody from Providence Water, do you have any final comments?
Thank you very much.
All right, well.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, members.
Thank you all. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you. Thank you. Next up, we're going to take an item out of order. Let's take a motion, item number 12.
So moved.
By Vice Chair, second by
Second.
Councilwoman Anthony. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Item 12, Madam Clerk, very quickly read into the record, and let's get to it.
Discussion relative to the administration of the Rhode Island decision to certify homestead properties during the pandemic. Following have been invited: Bruce Harry, tax assessor; Lon J. Mancini, chief financial officer; Sarah Severia, director.
All right, why don't we swear Mr. Mancini, Mr. Harris. Is Elise Perry also here? Did we see her? Where is she?
Mr. Chairman, she expressed to me this evening she may have to jump off the call, but she may be back on during the process.
No problem. So let's do this first, Madam Clerk.
Please raise your right, please
Let's
raise
get
your right
the guys
hand.
in, anyway.
You swear under Constitution that the testimony that you are to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Chief, just so you know, I am here with you. Elise Perry, for the record.
Okay. Lawrence J. Mancini, Chief Financial Officer, City of Providence.
Sarah Silveria, Finance Director.
Thank you for attending. As you know, last time we met, we had a conversation about the recertification of the homestead properties. So my council colleagues were iterating and reiterating some of their constituents' concerns and their own concerns on this process. We then asked to continue the matter for you folks to come back and hopefully come up with a corrective action plan that will address what the council colleagues' concerns, our constituents' concerns, and then what's the plan moving forward. So who would like to speak first? Would it be the finance director, CFO, or the assessor?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'll be happy to speak, and then my assessor and finance director will join where necessary. So good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, members of the City Council. Following last week's meeting, I did take the opportunity to talk with yourself, Mr. Chairman, and also with the majority leader. And we had pledged that we would return this evening, and we would provide you with information as to the process. And I trust and I believe that the process has now been vastly improved and streamlined. So as of last Friday, the online application had been improved with the assistance of the city's IT department and the city assessor's office, so that those initial glitches that prevented taxpayers from accessing it from a mobile device were corrected, allowing them to do that. And some of the barriers to information were removed, including documentation that would be unnecessary at this time, but there would be at least the ID possible information such as a license or some other ID. It is my understanding that through yesterday, Wednesday, January 13th, approximately 9,660 homesteads out of a total of 18,194 have been filed and have been accepted by the city assessor's office, representing a 53% filing rate. Of that, 8,260 were electronically submitted. The balance were manually submitted. We have already extended the application deadline to February 12th, 2021. We will allow that deadline to mature, and at that time, after speaking with the assessor and as well as the finance director and the assessor's staff, we will assess the information that has been received by February 12th, and it is our expectation that it will continue to increase the number of returns that have been filed and have been accepted, and we will then send out to those who have not yet submitted a hard copy application with instructions to file either in person or once again online, and we will give a further extension to March 15th, 2021. We expect that will greatly and vastly improve the application process. It is all hands on deck in the assessor's office, meaning telephones as well as online applications, as well as in-person visits by those taxpayers who do choose to come in the building and file in person. At the March 15th deadline, we'll make an additional determination as to the validity of the completion. As I had spoken to you, Mr. Chairman, it's my belief that the process will continue and will continue right up until the time that the levy is certified, allowing the assessor's office to receive even those applications that may straddle in later. And we'll work with the assessor's staff to encourage additional filing through a number of public service announcements, as well as other assessor opportunities. For those who do not get included in the certification, we will permit a longer time after the tax bills have been certified and sent out, and we will permit changes to the bills by virtue of abatement right through the first quarter of the new year, the new tax year. Typically, that only happens for 30 days, but we will commit that to at least 90 days additionally. At this point, Mr. Chairman, in order to protect the integrity of the system and to protect the integrity of all taxpayers, I believe we have worked out a satisfactory plan to continue the process, and I would ask the committee and ask their continued commitment in allowing us to at least get to the February 12th extension deadline, and then measuring it from there, move to the next deadline of March 15th.
Mr. Mancini?
Yes.
I'm sorry, continue.
No, go ahead. Go right ahead, sir.
What about, that's for present, what about when the internal audit mentioned about and the treasurer about for the future? Are we considering doing what they do in, I guess she mentioned in Florida, which is seems to be an easier, more efficient method? What are we going to do for the following years? If we're looking to recertify every year, this still becomes a pretty daunting task right now, right? I mean, and once, think about it, and God willing, the vaccines are flowing, people hopefully get healthier, and some aspect of city business will come back to a pre-COVID scenario. Most likely, business of the city will, a good portion will remain the same based on what's going on. But so my question is that, what do you do for the future also?
So, Mr. Chairman, we have, again, the finance director, the assessor, and myself, having met regularly since even last week, and we are, in fact, fully exploring the recommendation and the suggestion that was made by the internal audit, which was already in motion by the assessor's office to discuss that. We believe that we can successfully complete that type of a process over the ensuing 12 months, or the time frame that we would do that. Today, we looked at an example of a particular brochure, if you will, or notice or mailer that is used in a particular county in Florida, and it is quite comprehensive. In fact, I'm quite impressed that it's beyond just notice of homestead. It actually, to Lita Ryan's suggestion, it also advises taxpayers of other opportunities, other exemptions. It discloses the millage, the tax rate. It's a user-friendly brochure, if you will. We're just exploring the ability of how that would work in Providence, and I think we could do that successfully. While I can't promise you the timeline that it would be completed in the ensuing year, it is definitely our commitment to do so for the next time that we do the certification. And I actually have an example of that process, Mr. Chairman, if I may. It is a 6-panel brochure that goes out to taxpayers, and quite frankly, right up front it says, if I may, it says new, file for homestead exemption online. This is an example of a county in Florida, Martin County. This is prepared by the county assessor, sent to every taxpayer. And it does say, if I may, Mr. Chairman, protect your homestead. The change in your property ownership or ownership status may affect your eligibility for homestead exemption. It is your responsibility to notify our office of any change in ownership. This is where the internal auditor was making that suggestion, and I commend her for bringing that to our attention. I am completely familiar with this same process in Florida. And it says that status of on your homestead property to avoid possible penalties. Examples of changes include property placed in trust, marriage, divorce, death, no longer reside at the property, or no longer a permanent resident of the state of Florida. That disclosure, along with the encouragement to file online, I believe is a very successful process in other states, and it has worked well. It also goes on to talk about senior limited income exemption and various other exemptions that one can apply for. I believe the majority leader last week talked about that the use of the mail could be better used to notify about senior exemption, elderly exemption, veterans exemption, et cetera. So we've taken all of that under consideration, and we believe that this will provide us an opportunity to vastly improve the next filing season. But with that said, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, we are hopeful, and I think we're confident that we will complete this process in this season on the best conditions available between now and at least March 15th, and then going forward.
Thank you, Mr. Mancini. Vice Chair Ryan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to, I'm happy on Mr. Mancini to see that very user-friendly, customer-friendly, if you will, document that you just showed. I think it'd be great if you shared it with the rest of the committee, city council. That is precisely the document that I had hoped had gone out when we embarked on this effort in the beginning. It would have solved a lot of questions. Anyway, I'm happy to know that you've been successful, as I understand. I've had a number of people call me back in the past few days and say that they were able to get online and in through the system, and then it was easier to navigate. So I think that we're bumping along through it. I'm very eager to see what will happen or what the numbers are by ward, if you will, because I do think that certain communities might be more challenged by this task.
I agree.
So I'm anxious to see, and I think that it's I'm happy that you guys have been working diligently to try to be responsive to consumer concerns and complaints and issues with the system. I do think that it's really important that we get our, if your intention is to continue to certify annually, we need a better mousetrap, and we need better communications. And I have always been particularly concerned that our residents are not aware of what their exemptions are. It's incumbent upon us to make sure that we're informing people. And it will cut down on the calls if we're providing them with good information up front. So I'm eager to take a good look at that. I've heard about it, but I am interested in seeing that document. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Leader.
Mr. Mancini, just to dovetail on the Vice Chair, could you have Ms. Perry or the Finance Director provide to the Finance Committee next week the actual breakdown by ward of, for example, all 15 wards, how many is 18,000 plus homestead exemptions? In Ward 7, there's 2,000, and to date, 1,000 have, this way we all get a sense of what's happening in our neighborhood, that if we find out our ward is being, maybe our ward has 2,000 and only 50 people have done it, then we need to make sure our folks in our neighborhood, we help ring the bell and let them know. So I think that'd be very helpful if you can. We need to supply that breakdown, and then I'd ask you to send to the internal auditor, and the internal auditor, could you then distribute that to all 15 council members so they know, and they have that information for themselves, and they can. I'm sure they're going to do their due diligence and help their constituents. So can we get that breakdown?
Absolutely.
Actually, sooner than later. We don't want to. I know we have the holiday coming up, but the sooner the better.
I can have that provided to the internal auditor as early as tomorrow.
Great, thank you. And then, of course, it has to show.
Mr. Chairman, may I add? I think I shared this thought with the leader at your recommendation last week, and thank you for your confidence with the finance department. It was wise of us to talk to the majority leader on a regular basis, and she's been very helpful and patient, and she's been very responsive as well in the information that I have been sharing with her over the last several days. We made a recommendation internally, and when I say this, it's meant to give the council more comfort. By those two deadline dates, February 12th, and then again March 15th, we talked amongst ourselves that we thought the assessor has the ability, the capacity, not just by ward, but could probably share the address listing of which properties have yet to qualify or have yet to submit, and would be able to share that with council members, and not that we ask that you do our work, but that at least give you an indication of the type of property or addresses that have yet to comply, and maybe in your own neighborhood you would know who they are and say, hey, this series of people, they in fact do live there, and that would also help us expedite the process. So it's a suggestion, one that I would gladly take you up on if you so choose to do that, but we are working every possible measure to ensure full accountability and certainly to make sure that every taxpayer has the proper benefit and the proper exemption.
Thank you. And the breakdown, I think, would be very beneficial to all the committee members.
Absolutely.
So they know, okay, there's 2,000 homestead exemptions in their neighborhood. Here they are, who they are, what addresses, and then how many have done it to date, and then council members can help their constituents. Councilwoman Miller?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Leader and Chief, for putting some thought into this process and helping make a better mousetrap in this case. I wonder if you could walk us through the application changes that were made most recently. If you could just share with us a little more details about.
Yes, if you don't mind, Madam Councilwoman, if I could have our assessor take that portion of the discussion, because she had hands-on knowledge of the day-to-day, virtually sometimes hour-by-hour changes. So if you would mind having Ms. Parry do so.
Good evening.
Barry?
Hi, Councilwoman. So we did work very closely with IT to make sure that the, I guess you could say the burdensome clunkiness of the system was eliminated. So the online portal now is a much more streamlined version. So far, I mean, as a result of rolling that out, it seems like phone calls are down. Of course, with 50% submitted, that's, I think, contributing to it as well. But concerns and complaints regarding the website and having to scroll on a tablet have pretty much gone away entirely. The online portal now, it's essentially a two-step process. The step one of the process is you're going to certify, you're going to hit yes or no that you're a resident. And upon clicking yes, you will be asked to enter a PID. If you are on a phone, if you are on a computer, a tablet, the process is the same in that you type in that PID. It can take a couple seconds to load the background data, but what it's loading is the current location of that property, the current ownership of the property, and you click next and you go to the next page and everything is pre-populated for you. So it's a much more streamlined application. It seems like more people are submitting online without calling and having concerns about the process. So we're happy with that. And as Larry mentioned, it's just over 50% compliance at this point, which we're really happy with after 3 weeks of this being rolled out. But the online process, they do get a confirmation email upon submission. The confirmation email simply states that your application has been received. Please retain this email as proof of submission, and we will be back to you. We will email you back with this, the confirmation, the approval within 2 to 4 weeks. At this time, our office, we do have all hands on deck. We have just about half of all online submissions reviewed and approved. So those that are approved, they do get that confirmation email saying that their application has been approved and they're all set. And we hope to be completely caught up by no later than next Friday, so that everyone that has applied will have that confirmation email.
Thank you. And what happens for people still filling out the paper application? Do they get some confirmation?
They do. So if they apply by mail, they're going to be notified by mail that it's been approved. So we have 4 people on our staff going through the paper applications at this time. There's roughly, 1,500 of those applications. Just so I can track the data for them and to break those down by ward, we are creating a spreadsheet so we can obviously do an analysis on them for the paper submissions. They will all be notified again by the end of next week with their confirmation. If we're going through them and they're missing information, there were about a half a dozen or so that they just submitted the homestead application with no form of identity. Those ones, if there was a phone number, we called them and asked them for a copy of their license, or we just sent a notice back out in the mail asking them to supply that information to our office. So if you apply online, you get confirmation via email. And if you apply by mail or in person, you get confirmation on site or by mail.
Thank you. And I have 2 more questions, if that's okay, Mr. Chair.
Councilwoman, you have the mic.
Thank you. Okay, so as someone who's not a homeowner, I would appreciate if you could walk me through finding the property ID. I've actually spoke with someone last week who she eventually found it, but I still am not sure how, because we were on the phone for quite a while trying to help her. So one of the things worked. So if you could walk me through, if you don't have the property ID, how to get it, and then I'll wait on my last one.
Okay, sure. So on our webpage now, if they do want to apply electronically, if you go on our webpage and you click on the link for the homestead certification, there's a paragraph at the top basically explaining the process. And it does say on there, you will need a PID in order to apply. If they do not have the letter handy or they don't have their PID, there is a lookup function. The lookup function takes you to an open data portal that our IT department had set up. This open data it's very limited. There's only a few fields in it. It's a property location, and it gives you the PID for the property location. So the owner could type in 123 Main Street, and it would bring up their property in this database, and it would show them their PID. That is the PID they need in order to apply electronically. If they're applying with a paper application, the application is updated and will be posted online by our IT department in both English and Spanish. And it does state right on there that if they don't have the PID on the paper application, don't worry about it. We'll fill it in for them. They just need to put down their property address. The reason for requiring a PID on the electronic submissions is we have a workflow tied to the properties themselves. We just want to make sure that we're linking the actual homestead exemption to the correct property. And that's what that PID link is for.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we must have used the lookup function last week. Okay, so I know we touched on this last week or last meeting, but I'm still, I'm just concerned about people falling through the cracks on this. And getting a tax bill they're not prepared for and can't handle. And so if you could just walk me through the process of if despite these efforts, someone misses, given everything going on right now, someone misses all of this. They get a bill, they are eligible for homestead, and yet they are not receiving it. What is the process for going back and working with the assessor's office, and how does that work?
Sure. So as with any tax year, not just specific to a year that we're recertifying exemptions, anytime the bills go out, taxpayers are afforded an option or the ability to appeal that tax bill. So whether it's an exemption is missing or they think their assessment increased too much as a result of revaluation, we have that ability to review their account and adjust the bill for them. With these homesteads, again, we're going to assume that there are going to be a few that do fall through the cracks. With that being said, we will work as quickly as possible to make sure that bill gets adjusted right away for them prior to that first quarter bill being due. Again, it's as simple as them signing that homestead application for us and providing some proof of identity, and they're all set to go, and we'll amend the bill for them immediately.
Okay, and do the tax bills go, I remember the car tax bills going out usually right around when they're due, like within a few days. Do the home tax bills go out earlier than their due date?
So in the past, was that Larry speaking?
Go ahead.
I will confirm with the city collector's office, but in the past, the bills are mailed as they are printed. Typically, the real estate bills are the first to be printed and first to be mailed. The motor vehicle bills are typically the last. Again, we can make sure it's a priority to make sure these bills are mailed ahead of schedule, so they're not faced with, a tax bill that's due in 2 weeks and they still have to apply for a homestead exemption. So we'll make sure to get ahead of that this year to make sure that the taxpayers are notified.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman Miller. Vice Chair Ryan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to revisit the confirmation again. My question is to the Madam Assessor. Could you kindly explain, I know I recognize that you've gone through the process, the automation, and you've fixed many of the challenges that people were having. But I guess my question is for those folks that fumbled through the initial process and never got confirmation, do we know who didn't get a confirmation? Are we able to double check? My fear is that some folks think that they actually did complete the process, never got a confirmation, and are going along thinking they're all set. So what are we doing to try to make sure that the folks that began the process and maybe never got a confirmation are being served?
Sure. After speaking with IT, I will say that from day one of the online portal being active, confirmation emails were active and were being sent to anyone that completed a submission. We've updated the language a little bit just to let them know to retain that confirmation email as proof of submission. After a few phone calls of people saying, "Oh, I never got a confirmation email," sometimes it was as simple as, do you mind checking your spam inbox? And their confirmation email was in there. If for whatever reason they still did not receive a confirmation email of the submission, we can easily resend a notice of submission. And as I mentioned earlier, we're going to get through all of the applications that have been submitted so that everyone would have an approval notification, which would be a second form of notice from our online portal. And we hope to, like I said, have that completed by next week. So again, if someone is missing a confirmation email, please feel free to give them my contact information directly. I'm happy to replicate that confirmation email for them just so they can have something in writing. I don't want it to bring any unnecessary worry to anyone. I just want them to understand, if they submitted electronically, they will get confirmation electronically.
So how many of the 9660 are actually electronic?
Just over 8,000.
8,000. I guess my only, just to reaffirm that, there are people, this has been, a process that's been going on for weeks. Just to allay people's fears, I'm not, I wouldn't be in the camp of waiting any further, even if it's a week or 2 weeks, to get to a point where you would confirm someone's electronic submission. Again, I wouldn't see any issue with sending out reconfirmations. I'm getting calls from people that don't, I kind of don't want to be in the business of processing homestead certifications. And I think all council people got a lot of calls and are still getting calls. And, I was listening to Councilwoman Miller trying to navigate someone through the process. I've had a number of experiences myself. So I guess anything that we can do to double down and to provide information, more is better. So I guess, my recommendation without delay is if we have someone's email and there's uncertainty as to whether they got their confirmation, or if you're getting a lot of calls about, I didn't get my confirmation, I didn't keep it. We didn't have a message initially to keep your confirmation. So maybe we just say, okay, tomorrow we're just going to send out all those notifications again with a big message. Just, reminder, please keep this. You did a great job successfully navigating your way through the homestead certification process. Just a thought. I think, it might help, even if it provides a sense of satisfaction or security for 10 people. I think it's well done, and it doesn't cost anything. Just a thought.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm good.
Thank you. We have Councilman Taylor has questions.
Yeah, just one question. In February, so a month from today, the first cutoff date, are you, and obviously you'll have a percent by then, how many were put in. Are you going to, at some point between February, March, send something out to the people that haven't sent in? Because you know who put in last time for the homestead, correct?
That is correct. If I may, Mr. Chairman, Councilman Taylor, that is correct. Testimony that was provided was that we would utilize the February 12th cutoff deadline to make sure that we process as many at that time that are coming in naturally by mail, in person, and by electronic submission. And then the assessor's office will do a due diligence testing of that. The remainder that have yet to submit will then be sent a hard copy letter with an application included, encouraging filing by online, in person, or by mail. And they will be given again until March 15th to do that process.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any other comments or questions? Okay.
Yes, Mr.
Oh,
Chairman.
Councilman Castillo?
We still, we still do the home step every year.
Are they gonna recertify every year? Yes, Councilwoman, they're starting that now. And Mr. Mancini said it sounds like they're gonna change it to a different process for the following years, which is more of I'll make it process friendly in that sense.
Yeah.
Councilman, did you hear that?
Yes, it's still a lot of people call me. They can, they go to the city hall with the IDs and stuff, but we have only when I come, it's 2 people working here and I help a lady in there. But it's still, what can happen with the people can be figured out the home step because they had to go to the city hall to present, the taxes go up or we fix it. What do we do?
Mr. Mancini?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Madam Councilwoman, it is our intention to take every possible opportunity, including through the March 15th second deadline, and then from March 15th up until the time that the City Council votes on next year's budget, which includes next year's tax levy, to continue to file as many certifications that do come in through any means, through public service announcements, through people who realize they didn't on their own, and any other way that the assessor's office can encourage additional filing. And so they'll be treated as if they were filed in a timely fashion, but it will be a lot smaller group of individuals. And then, again, as I had stated earlier, for those who did not, for some reason, get included, and more than likely by their own inability to do so, whenever the bill does go out, we will provide additional support from the time the bill goes out right through the first quarter and assess and change any assessment that needs to be changed back to a homestead, again, with the proper filing of the form and the proper information. So it'll be a process over the next several months, but I'm certain that we will get as close to full compliance as one could expect, and we'll do everything in our power to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, Madam Councilwoman.
Councilwoman Miller, you have a follow-up? You're muted.
Thank you. Yeah, I do. Just one final question. Something Chief Mancini just said made me think of it. We had also talked about wanting to go out on social media and 311 and just plaster some, I'm sure that on Spanish radio, there's some talk shows that folks could come and not an ad, but come and just talk about it and talk about the process and have a lot more explicit conversations in the public about this. Is that part of the plan? I'm sorry if I missed that.
It has been from the beginning. I know that through the mayor's office and working with, I'm sure, council colleagues and working with 311 are trying everything in their power to get the message out. And we will continue to do that in addition to the city website. I'm sure the city council website has a similar message, or we're planning to do so. But any means available to city officials to educate the public and alert the public to filing, we will take every measure to do so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. With that, I see, do we have a motion to continue item number 12?
So moved.
By
Second.
Vice Chair, second by Councilman Taylor. Discussion? Councilman Castillo? Discussion? I just want to take this time to thank the administration, Madam Finance Director, Madam Assessor, for listening to the council's concerns and their constituents and addressing them in a rapid fashion. At the end of the day, we're all here to work together, and we want the success. Your success is our success, and our success is your success. And we just want to make sure our constituents and your constituents also, we obtain or get the benefit of that success, right?
We agree.
So I want to thank you for all doing that and listening to it, because it's important. I'd ask just in the future, it's like this is a collaborative effort, and just keep that in mind. All of us are open, we're receptive, we want to receive, we're looking to help, and want you to know the door's always open for all of us to work with all of you to do something positive for the people of Providence. With that,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Thank you. Next
Thank you,
item,
Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Assessor and Madam Director and Mr. Mancini. Next up, Madam Clerk, item number 7, please.
Communications from His Honor the Mayor dated December 2020, informing the honorable members of the City Council that pursuant to Section 302B and 814 of the Providence Planning Style and he is the state of appointing James Hackett of 70 Elm Grove Avenue, Providence, Rhode Island, 02906, as a member of the Board of Tax Assessment and Review for a term to expire on January 31st, 2024, and respectfully submit the same for your approval.
Thank you. I think we have Mr. Hackett, is that correct? All right. So, Mr. Hackett, can you hear us, sir? Madam Clerk.
I unmuted myself.
Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Hackett. Welcome this evening. Madam Clerk, could you please swear Mr. Hackett in, and then we can begin the proceedings.
Sir, please raise your right hand. You swear under penalty of perjury that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name for the record, sir.
Can you hear us, sir? Mr.
I couldn't hear what she said.
She asked you to state your name and your address for the record.
James Hackett, 70 Elm Grove Avenue in Providence.
Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Hackett. Thank you for coming to see, zooming in this evening, I should say, right? First of all, we hope that you and your family, everybody's doing well and everybody's healthy. That's the most important thing.
Thank you.
It seems like the mayor would like to submit your reappointment to the Board of Tax Assessor and Review. Could you just, for my council colleagues that don't know you, my council colleagues that do know you, just a reiteration of who you are, a little bit of your background, and why you would like to get reappointed to the Board of Tax Assessment and Review. You have the mic, sir.
Thank you. I've been on the board for approximately 15 years. I think I've been its chairman for about 10 years. I'm a semi-retired lawyer. I practiced law in Boston for over 50 years. I retired a few years ago, but the real estate market was so busy, the firm asked me to come back and work on a part-time basis, and that's what I've been doing for the last 3 or 4 years. And I do have obviously I've served on the board for a long time, and in my legal practice, I've had a lot of experience with valuations, that sort of thing also.
Thank you. Any questions by committee members?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay, all right. Then with that, do you have a motion to recommend approval of Mr. Hackett's reappointment?
Motion to recommend approval, and thank you for your service, Mr. Hackett.
Vice Chair makes that motion. Second by Councilman Taylor and Councilman Anthony, it looks like. And discussion? With that, I would like to say, Mr. Hackett, thank you for willing to continue to serve this great city, and thank you for your years of service, and we look forward to your continuing years of service. It looks like you're going to be a little busy. Now, I think in about a year or so, a couple of years from now, I think we're going to get a rebound in a few years ahead, so you're going to be a little busy in the upcoming years, and hopefully with your background and expertise, you can help guide that council and the mayor at that time on how to handle those types of things. So thank you, sir.
And thank you all for your service.
Thank you. Would all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Hackett. Be well, be safe, and have a
Thank
good
you.
evening. Thank you. Madam Clerk, item number 8, please.
Communication from His Honor the Mayor dated December 2nd, 2020, informing the Honorable Members of the City Council that pursuant to Section 302 and 1102 of the Providence Home Rule Charter of 1980, as amended, and Public Law, Chapter 45-50, Sections 1 through 31, passed in 1987, he is to stay reappointing Stephen T. Napolitano of 383 Woodwood Road, Providence, Rhode Island, 02904, as a member of the Board of Tax Assessment and Review for a term to expire on January 31st, 2024, and respectfully submit the same for your approval. Can you ask what number he wants?
Mr. Napolitano, are you out there? And I guess here's the question. Can someone who's, Madam Clerk, you have to run through. So, could the person whose phone number ends in 456, is that you, Mr. Napolitano? Could you, yeah, they're muted. Okay, show the next one. Could the individual whose phone number ends at 789, is that you, Mr. Napolitano? Okay, let's show the next one. Is the individual's phone number ending in 900, is that you, Mr. Napolitano? Okay, so why don't we continue right now, and then we'll get back and so if we can get it squared, okay? So, Madam Clerk, let's continue 8 until we can get a connection with Mr. Napolitano. To do item number 9, please. Motion to continue number 8.
Motion to continue item 8.
Second.
Vice Chair, by Councilwoman Castillo. Discussion, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, item number 9, please.
Communication from His Honor the Mayor dated December 2nd, 2020, informing the honorable members of the City Council that pursuant to Sections 302B and 1102 of the Providence Home Rule Charter of 1980, as amended, he is to stay reappointing Peter Mancini of 104 Meridian Street, Providence, Rhode Island, 02908, as a member of the Board of Licenses for a term to expire on January 31st, 2024, and respectfully submit the same for your approval.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, if I may, it's very difficult to hear the clerk on,
okay.
I don't know if we can get any kind of a resolve to that, but it's hard to understand what she's saying.
Okay, for this edification, Madam Vice Chair, I'll duly noted ask the clerk to speak a little bit louder. She, as you know, she's not a very boisterous person, so we will ask her to be a little
Just
more.
making a notation. It's just difficult to follow, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. So, once again, I guess, we're looking for Mr. Mancini. Is, Madam Clerk, we tried to identify, is the, okay? So, do you have his number? Okay. If everybody can bear with it. Mr. Mancini, can you hear us, sir?
Calling Peter to try and have him.
Okay, so why don't we continue this and let's go to the, I know we can definitely identify the last person. So motion to continue item number 9 until we can make
Motion to continue item 9, sir.
By Vice Chair, second by Councilman Field. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Madam Clerk, item number 10, please.
Communication from His Honor the Mayor dated December 2nd, 2020, informing the honorable members of the City Council that pursuant to Sections 302B and 1102 of the Providence Home Rule Charter of 1980, as amended, he is to stay reappointed Delia Rodriguez, Mass Jones of 104 Pell Street, Providence, Rhode Island, 02909, as a member of the Board of Licenses for a term to expire on January 31st, 2024, and respectfully submit the same for your approval.
Yes, There she is. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
there she is, waving.
Madam Clerk, could you make sure she's able to speak? And why don't you,
I can speak.
what do you call it, swear the individual in?
Can you please raise your right hand? You swear under penalty of perjury that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and where you're from, please.
Delia Rodriguez Masjone, 104 Tell Street, Apartment 1, Providence, 02909.
Thank you.
Welcome, Miss Machon. How are you this evening, first of all?
How's everybody?
Well, good, very well. It's a pleasure having you here this evening. It looks like you'd like to get reappointed to the Board of License again. So just once again, for everybody's edification, the folks that don't know you and the folks that do know you, why don't you just give a quick little background and then tell us about why you want to get reappointed to the Board of License and, all that good stuff. You have the mic.
Good evening, council members, finance chair, members of the committee. Thank you for your time tonight on my reappointment to the Board of Licenses. I'm honored to be considered for reappointment to this board, a position that I hold with the utmost respect for our city, our residents, and the businesses. I've lived in Providence for about 25 years, and I currently live in Federal Hill. I've lived in downtown and Mount Pleasant past. I currently work as a consultant for different nonprofit organizations around the community engagement. I've helped create several nonprofits on issues of immigration, art, culture, Latino businesses, and education. I'm proud to have served on this board since 2012 and have been making many decisions, sometimes difficult decisions, but always balancing the importance of residents' quality of life and opportunities for business to grow and prosper. It's always been important for me that businesses understand their role in the community, and I make a point to ensure that they understand what we expect of them. I've learned and I've grown from my work on this board, and I continue to do so in every meeting that I attend by learning about every new establishment and businesses in our city. I understand the importance of this board, and I'm committed to continue providing my services with integrity, fairness, and engagement that everyone deserves. I appreciate you taking the time tonight to interview me and hope that you consider renominating me to this board. Thank you. I've been doing a lot of public hearings lately, so I write my statements so I don't go over time.
Thank you. Because
I can talk.
No problem. Vice Chair, you have any questions?
Well, yes, I'm very upset that you've moved out of the 5th Ward. I really have a bone to pick with you on that, but I'll accept it because I know that you're contributing to another neighborhood. But on a serious note, I want to personally thank you for your work on the Board of Licensing, as well as your commitment to any community, the community of Providence as a whole, and your service and involvement in almost every aspect of life is remarkable and noteworthy. As you know, as a freshman counselor, I worked very diligently on the Board of Licensing reform because there were many challenges and we weren't able to find the balance between economic development and quality of life in our neighborhoods. This body, this council, many of my colleagues worked hand in hand to try to help redefine the Board of Licensing, get the training, put systems in place. I personally lobbied up on the Hill to change the licensing scheme to make it easier for the board to define the requirements of the licenses that you were giving out as opposed to having one license for all. And that was a bumpy time. And I wanted to say that from the start, you welcomed the changes. You welcomed the reform. You were remarkable in your ability to recognize that we needed to make change, and you welcome that change. I just thank you very much for my community, as well as for the entire city of Providence. You've done a wonderful job on a difficult board and probably one of the most important boards in the city of Providence. So thank you for your service. I wholeheartedly support and recommend your reappointment.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Councilman.
Vice Chair. Councilman
Can I
Taylor.
make,
Yes, just quickly, as a freshman councilman, I highly recommend Delia and Peter and the board because I had a few issues last year with the auto place and a bar and some issues. And they kind of held me by the hand to get me through to get the correct issue solved. And I couldn't have done it without them. And I appreciate Delia's help and Peter's help, especially with the auto business that I had, because the guy was there for several years and he needed help as well as I needed help to get through the process. And they cleared up the process for me to make me look good and make them look good. So, but I appreciate all your help for everything you do. And I reiterate the words, that's not an easy board. I've been in there waiting to see before, other people come up, and boy, you take a lot of heat. But thank you very much, and I highly recommend Delia for this position, reappointment.
Thank you. Thank you. Council President, and then Councilman Castillo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also want to echo the recommendations for Delia. She's been doing an amazing job at that board, and she's tough, but she has a lot of empathy also for the understanding for our small businesses, especially the new immigrants that still don't know all the ins and outs of the city of Providence, but they want to start their businesses. Delia takes the time to explain the process to them and to work with them. And I'm so glad to have her on that board, and I want to thank her for the time and commitment that she gives to the city of Providence and for the job that she's doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. Councilman Castillo.
so I want to thank Delia because when I have a problem, especially in Latino community, she's always there and she supports the community, not only in the license, immigration and everything. I'm so proud of you and I recommend you continue to be in the license. Okay, thanks.
Councilwoman, appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilman Espinal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I guess Delia has lived a very good life. There are so many good things being said about her, and we could probably spend hours talking about her work in Providence, throughout the community. Delia is always there for anybody that is in need of help. But she's pretty unique because she has a very unique balance. She's very fair and balanced professionals, because she has a good heart. She's always out there to help out. But she's also in strong hands when Delia has to do things that takes commitment and otherwise might not seem easy or perhaps controversial. You can rest assured that she's going to be on the right side of the issue. So that's something that I admired, and she's a very strong woman, and I'm honored and proud to recommend her. Thank you, Delia, for your services to our city. You've done really well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, Councilman Espinal. Councilwoman Miller.
Not to reiterate everyone's kind and true words, but I do just want to say, the Board of Licenses plays such a huge and crucial role in this city from, all these different aspects. And Federal Hill has had some big challenges, and it's come down to you and your colleagues at the Board of Licenses helping to iron them out. So I just want to echo my colleagues and thank you for your service, and know that there'll be hard times ahead, and I'm glad that you'll be there to help us. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Council. Any other comments or concerns by committee members? All right, Councilman. With that, do a motion to recommend approval.
I would love to recommend approval.
Second.
Second by Councilman Taylor. Discussion. Delia, I'd like to also echo my council colleagues. You've been an invaluable asset to the Board of License. You've been someone who understands how neighborhoods operate, how people live in the neighborhoods, and how businesses should be good neighbors in our neighborhoods. And so I want to thank you for that insight. With that, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I appreciate
you.
it. Thank you.
So I go back to item. We're going to take a motion, take item number 8.
Motion
Eight
to
back.
take up item 8. Couldn't get that out properly.
Second.
Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, let's waive the readings. We're looking for Mr. Steve T. Napolitano to be reappointed as a member of the Board of Tax Assessment Review. Mr. Napolitano, are you there, sir? You need to unmute. I think you need to unmute. Yeah, great.
Mr. Chairman, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Napolitano. Hopefully you and your family and everybody's doing extremely well.
More importantly, you are doing well, I hope. And the vice chair and all the members of the committee are doing due diligence for the city of Providence taxpayers. I really appreciate what you people are doing in general.
Thank you,
Well,
sir.
with that said, a lot of the council colleagues are new. Some may not know your background, but I think it's worth it to let them know a little bit about you and then why you would be an excellent member of the Board of Tax Assessor Review or a continuing reappointment.
Mr. Chairman, do not tell them too many things. But to start off with, Madam Vice Chair, both know me well, but just for the other members of the committee, I was born and brought up on Eagle Park. Don't live too far from where I was born in Wanscott section of the mighty 4th Ward, only comparable to the 7th and the 13th and the 5th Ward. That said, I've been honored to serve the city of Providence in several capacities, but more importantly, the Tax Review Board have an opportunity to help citizens who live in the city of Providence and need to address certain issues with taxes. And I've been listening to committee with regards to the homestead. Those are important things. So if you honor me with a reappointment, I'll be helpful to the citizens as well as the committee here to continue the job. I'm honored to have the reappointment, and I enjoyed working with the chair. Mr. Hackett does an excellent job, as do the other members. So other than that, Mr. Chairman, any other questions they may have, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Napolitano. Vice Chair Ryan.
Mr. Napolitano, welcome. Thank
Madam
you
Vice Chair.
Thank you so much for your service on this board and in so many ways, your service to the community, to Providence, to the state over all these years. I take issue with your reference to the mighty 4th. It's actually the mighty 5th Ward.
So said, Vice Chair.
That's okay. I'm going to let it slip because I think so highly of you. Your record speaks for itself, and your service is impeccable. And I thank you very much for your years of service to our community. I wholly support you for reappointment. It's a great fit for you, and we need your help.
We're always there to help people in the city of Providence, especially council people who represent them, and sometimes it's very difficult. I know it's like 24/7.
It's okay. We like what we do. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other comments or concerns or questions by committee members, council members? I do a motion to recommend approval.
It's my honor to recommend approval, Mr. Napolitano.
Second.
Second by Council Castillo. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman.
Madam
Hi.
President?
Thank you. I just want to thank Mr. Napolitano for his service to the city of Providence. We really appreciate your service.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you, Madam President. Continue discussion. I would be remiss upon me not to say a few. There's numerous kind words on behalf of Mr. Napolitano. Mr. Napolitano used to be the city council's treasurer, by the way, for many years. He was an extremely active member. He still is an active member in the politics of the city of Providence, and one of those individuals and families who has dedicated themselves to the city of Providence and its well-being. And he's throughout the years I've known him personally, and I'm honored to know him personally, and of course his lovely wife, Louisa, his bride, as he called her, and you know, their passion for the city of Providence is immeasurable. And I've been fortunate to know Mr. Napolitano for many years, and it's been an honor for me on my part, on my watch, to support him and his and of course this reappointment. He clearly has the background and he has the ability. He could serve on any board in the city of Providence or any committee, on any of them, with his background and knowledge and skill set. I look forward. I'm really happy to vote for his reappointment, and I hope he even ascends to other boards and other committees with his talents. I think the city of Providence and the people would be duly served in a really fine fashion if with him in these types of positions. So I want to thank him, of course, and give my regards to your lovely wife, of course.
Thank you, Pavi.
With that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Grazie molto. Buonanotte.
Buonanotte. Next, with a motion to take up item number 9.
So moved.
Yep.
Second.
Second by Councilman Taylor. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. I think we have, and this is a request to reappoint Peter Mancini to the Board of License. And I believe we have him on air, and he is the former councilman, a former council president, and a former colleague of mine. Mr. Mancini, are you there, sir?
Yes, I am, Mr. Chairman.
Welcome, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Mr. Mancini, why don't you, I know some of the council members probably know you, but maybe some new ones don't know of you. You just want to talk a little bit about you and
Sure.
just why you want to get reappointed and
Yes.
take questions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. First of all, my name is Peter Mancini from the powerful 14th Ward. And I guess we're calling the wards different things, so I'm picking the powerful 14th.
I like that.
Do you like that?
Yeah, I do. Good one.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Chairman, I've lived in Providence for my entire life, actually 71 years, which is amazing to even say. For the past 3 years, I've served on the licensing board and have enjoyed it immensely, and I'm very honored that Mayor Orza has reappointed me to this board. I know many of you know me, some of you don't, but I'm retired from the state of Rhode Island. I worked for 33 years at the Department of Children, Youth, and Families, and also served on the Providence City Council for 20 years and enjoyed every minute of it. Being here tonight reminds me of all those long nights that I served on the Finance Committee, and I have to give you guys a lot of credit because I know how important and how difficult and how time-consuming it is. The licensing board, as most of you know, is probably one of the most important boards in the city. I take the responsibility very, very seriously. We license everything from body shops to car dealerships to convenience stores, but obviously the most important and crucial one is the liquor licenses, and that becomes can be a problem many times, especially when we okay liquor licenses in neighborhoods and loud noise and late closings. But I think myself and members of the board, all the members of the board, do a very good job in kind of balancing, because you do need obviously businesses in our city, but you also have to make sure that these businesses obey the rules, regulations, and the laws so that the people who live in these neighborhoods certainly don't have to put up with some of the nonsense that they have to put up with. I have no problem in revoking licenses when one comes before us. We tell them what to do. We give them direction. They don't do it. I don't think people in that neighborhood should have to put up with that. I think we've done a very good job on this. I know we've had some issues up Federal Hill, and I hope Councilman Miller thinks we've done a good job. We've done the best we can, and I just hope that with your support, I continue to serve for 3 more years.
Thank you, Mr. Mancini. Do you have a Vice Chair Ryan?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. First, I'd like to make the comment that this has been a great night for appointments by the mayor. So my first comment is kudos to the mayor for making the decision to reappoint such talented, committed people to such important positions. But Mr. President, thank you. Thank you for your service to our city in this board. I know we got you out of retirement, but I can't tell you when your name surfaced, all of the council breathed a sigh of relief, knowing that we had one of our own on an important board that is so impactful for quality of life in our neighborhoods. But more importantly, finding the balance. It is our businesses, our bars, our restaurants, they're economic generators for our city. It's critical that we get it right. And we could not be better served than to have a former president of the city council on the board in doing such a wonderful job. So thank you. Thank you. I've reached out to you a number of times since you've been appointed to the board, and you've been absolutely wonderful. And again, not only serving the entire city, but my ward, the mighty fifth, very, very well. So thank you. I wholeheartedly recommend your reappointment.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Councilman Taylor?
Yes, I'd like to reiterate what I said about Dahlia, also with Peter Mancini as a freshman councilman. I had an issue with a auto mechanic place, and I didn't know where to go with it. Peter and Dahlia and the board helped me get through that process. Not only was I happy, but the person that was involved was also very happy. And I want to thank Peter for all his help. Plus, I've actually reached out to him as a former councilman, as he's offered his words of wisdom on some things that I could have an issue with. I know I can reach out and talk to him about to get another side of the opinion. So I thank you very much, and I highly recommend Peter Mancini from the councilman from the great Ward 8.
Thank you, Councilman, very much.
Councilman Taylor. Then we have Councilwoman Miller, then the council president. Councilwoman Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Mr. President, from Lucky 13, on behalf of all of our residents, and in all seriousness, you know, the issues at Federal Hill have been really challenging over the last 2 years, and I can't appreciate your thoughtfulness and your service enough. So thank you for your service. And
thank you.
I'm so glad we have you.
Thank you. Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like also to echo my support for President Mancini for this position. Again, reappointment to the Board of Licenses. It makes a huge difference when you have someone that had been in our shoes and the City Council to take this role in the Board of Licenses. And I appreciate his contribution. And I just want to say thank you for your willingness to continue to serve the City of Providence and your commitment to the City of Providence. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Any other comments or concerns? With that, do we have a motion to recommend
Motion
approval?
to recommend approval.
By Vice Chair, do I have a second? By Councilman Taylor. Discussion. Oh, I have to say a few words on behalf of my former president. Now, unfortunately, Councilman Miller took my lucky 7, so now I'm going to have to go. This is from the Super 7 ward. How's that? Super 7. Okay. We'll go with it. But, you know, I think we just mentioned earlier Steve Napolitano and of course, you, Peter, having folks like you with your background, your experience, and your understanding of the city and its neighborhoods and dedicated their lives to the city helps us, council members, do the business of our constituents when we go before these boards and committees. And the Board of License, as you know, is extremely important. And you're a valuable asset to that board because of your insight, understanding what it's like. And I always, when I go before the board, I always ask the board members, just step in the shoes that you are the next door neighbor, that you're the neighbor that lives next to that business, that you're the neighbor that don't have to listen to the music or what's going on at 1, 2, 3 in the morning. you know, and the goal of the board is always to, you know, have these businesses prosper, have these businesses grow, but also to be good neighbors to the surrounding neighborhood. So, and you just do a phenomenal job. Also, with that said, I'm pretty excited that I get to support your reappointment in this term. And then, and I haven't told you before, I'll tell you again. I've told you before, I'll tell you again. It was always been an honor and a pleasure to serve with you on the Providence City Council, and you are missed. With that, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Carried. Mr. President, hope you're doing well and everybody's safe and sound.
I am, John. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank the committee. Thank you, committee.
Good evening, Mr. President.
Thank you. Hi, Joanne.
That's it. I think there's no more business before this honorable committee.
Motion to adjourn.
By Vice Chair, second by Councilman Anthony. Councilman Taylor. Okay, there you go. Discussion. Thank you, everybody, for participating. Be well, be safe. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed. Thank you, clerk.